Did you get the thing that said we are now recording?
No.
I wonder why his does that, because it shows that we're recording now.
Okay.
So we are go.
All right. So, welcome to the February stream. Well, this was supposed to be a stream, but we had some issues with YouTube. So, for those who can recall, we were supposed to go live at 2 Eastern today, and we were about 12 minutes in, and then YouTube took down my content. So they took it down because I violated child safety guidelines. Anyways, they thought I was actually too young to be streaming. But regardless of all that, we're gonna try to continue to hang out and, do what we were gonna do on YouTube, just in a Zoom meeting. And by the way, for everybody's sake, I'm gonna go over a couple housekeeping things. So everybody is muted, and how we're gonna do this is we're going to treat this like a webinar because we don't really want any Zoom bombers. So what we're going to do is you are all going to be muted on entry, and you're not going to be allowed to unmute unless you raise your hand and the host acknowledges you. And thanks to Michael Dowies, he is the host, the moderator for this, because that way I can do the content and the presentation. And yeah, so thanks to Michael Dowies from iAccessibility. He is our host today. And yeah, we're working together on this. Like I said, they're supposed to be on YouTube, but it had other plans. So yeah, everybody's muted unless they raise their hand. And that can be accomplished with, I believe, Alt-Y on Windows. And let's see. I think is it *9 on the phone, Michael? Do you know? Oh.
I've actually never used the Zoom on the phone, so I'm not sure what it is.
On the telephone, yeah. And then I think under iOS, it's you go under more options and raise hand. So that is how we will operate today's webinar. So what I'm going to do is I have a few questions that were asked throughout the couple weeks that I started this YouTube channel. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to go through some of those. And then after that, we're going to open it up to the chat. And so then you guys can ask questions and we can kind of go from there. So that is our objective for today. So let's see here. Let me go open our file. And I just have a Dropbox file of all of our questions. Let's see here. Okay. All right. So these were questions submitted by the viewers. And if you would like to have questions that will be included in the next month's stream or whatever, if you think of some today, you can comment or tweet or email. I kind of pulled them from all the sources and then I put a text file together. So that's kind of how I operate this. All right, so let's see here. Questions. Whoops. All right, so the first question is, do you have any more VS Code tutorials? And this was submitted by Josh on the Program L mailing list, I believe. And to that, I say, yes, I have VS Code tutorials. They are being added every week, Tuesday and Thursday on YouTube. We're currently doing the VS Code series. Obviously, once we get done with that, we're going to be moving on to something else. But regardless, we're always going to be doing something related to programming and tech or, anything in that domain of things. So, programming, tech, we may have some special videos, some collaborations, and also some live streams, assuming that YouTube won't block me again. And yeah, so any special events, I know eventually I'm going to be giving a talk to the Computer Club of Western Michigan University about web accessibility, and that will obviously be streamed because that's a virtual thing. So all those are streamed anyways. So yeah, just any special events related to tech. I try to make it known on Twitter that I'm going to be streaming. And also, I try to put it on the mailing list, but to be honest with you, I don't like to spam them. But I do want to get my point across sometimes. So the best way to keep track of what I'm doing is to subscribe and then also follow me at TaylorArnt22. Understood that. On Twitter. Michael, do you want to throw the Twitter link in the chat or the username? I've got
Yeah,
two
I'll throw it in
different.
there for you.
All right, yeah, I've got two different accounts, my company and my personal. Mostly the YouTube stuff is going to be on the personal because it's kind of a personal brand thing. But from time to time, I may promote something on both accounts. But my Twitter is the best way to understand what's happening. I'm probably eventually going to create some kind of like email list. I do have a ConvertKit newsletter, but the problem is that it's kind of hard to use sometimes. So I may end up ditching that completely because if you have more than 1,000 subscribers, it will charge you like $30 a month. So yeah, I'm still trying to look at ways to get announcements out there, but Twitter is the best way to go for now. So that is the answer to the first question. I was wondering if you knew of an extension that would allow me to upload and modify content stored on a Unix and Linux server from VS Code using SSH. It's kind of a loaded question there, but the answer to that is yes. There is an extension called Remote SSH. However, I really don't recommend, honestly, that people use that. The reason is that when you're doing the SSH from the terminal, it's a lot easier. And I personally find that SSH and VS Code is just a little bit dicey. I mean, the VS Code terminal for accessibility is getting better. However, I think that it would be really awesome to just use your standard terminal. It'll make your life a lot easier. But if you're so inclined, you can use that remote SSH extension. And what I will do is this will be on YouTube. So I'm going to put a link to these extensions and these resources that I will be talking about. So once this is archived, I'm hoping to get it up by tomorrow. Then you guys can see all the resources that were discussed in today's webinar. Okay, so that is that one. Josh, again, asks, which coding resources do you recommend and why? Okay, so this is a very loaded question again, because there are so many coding resources for self-taught developers out there, but it's just understanding which ones are going to be helpful for us blind developers, because there's a lot of resources. There's a lot of resources that are going to be available to you, but not all of them are accessible. In fact, I would say that less than half. So what I would say is it depends on your learning style. I can't recommend a resource that will work for everybody because everybody learns differently. And so, for example, if you're more of an interactive learner, you like to try to type code and read example code, I would say that Free Code Camp is going to be good for you. The only thing I would say about Free Code Camp, however, is that it's really only, you learn the interactive stuff, but it's really only used as a supplement. You may be missing some parts of web development. And, you may want videos to supplement it. So I'd say Free Code Camp is a really great interactive and practice ground. But I would say that having another resource, which I'm going to talk about in a second, may be a great way to supplement what you're learning. I would also say that I've used Udemy. And for those who don't know, Udemy is an online course marketplace that is very popular. I actually have courses on there. Believe it or not, I have over 1,400 students on my courses. It's a great platform. However, in terms of being an instructor, their accessibility is a little bit questionable. And from the student perspective, I mean, it's fine. Their iOS app is mostly accessible, but I would say that it's not really that great. And that's why I have started to cut ties with them from both being a student and an instructor because of the accessibility aspect. of them. And then there are other resources, obviously, like YouTube. And YouTube is really great. In fact, there is a YouTube channel. They don't really do a lot of tutorials per se, but they do a lot more of the like career advice and others. And there's also a Discord server. It's called Real Tough Candy. And I really like their YouTube channel, their Discord. And actually, I was featured on a blog not too long ago about being a blind self-taught web developer. So that will also be in the description. So yes, I was actually on there. They wrote up an article. I answered some questions, and yeah, I was basically known about, and then I was promoted on YouTube and all sorts to their audience. So that was really cool for me. And yeah, Real Tough Candy is great. They don't really have a lot of tutorials, but they have, a lot of the career advice. So if you're looking for jobs, I'd highly recommend that channel. I think they go live once every week on Fridays at 5. And then in more terms of tutorials, another channel that I really love is Traversy Media. And Brad Traversy, he runs that channel, and he also has some co-instructors that he has because he has a whole company. And he is really good. I really love his stuff. I've bought some of his Udemy courses. And well, I can say that I'm really not a fan of Udemy per se. It's fine. I mean, it's, but it all depends on the instructor, because Udemy, what it is, it's an open marketplace. And so anybody can be there. Anybody can teach, and so the quality is very variable. But Brad, he also has pretty much all of his stuff on YouTube for free, which is so nice. And he has sample code on GitHub for all of his stuff. And so that is actually, believe it or not, where I learned about Live Server and a bunch of VS Code stuff was from his channel. And yeah, so his channel is really awesome. And also, not to mention, Free Code Camp does have a YouTube channel, and their YouTube channel is crazy. They've got a lot going on. Now, I'm going to make a disclaimer that some of their content on YouTube may not be very helpful for blind people, because the instructors may not describe what they are doing. And so that is the only problem that I found, is that some of their videos are not all that helpful. But again, some of them are. But yeah, Brad Traversy for sure, Free Code Camp. Let's see, what other resources? Let's see. The only other one that I can think of that possibly could work for you, I haven't really looked at it most in depth, obviously, is the Odin project, which is kind of another thing like Free Code Camp. But again, I really haven't evaluated it per se in terms of, accessibility. I've just heard about it and it seems to be accessible, but I'm not exactly sure. So then there's obviously LinkedIn Learning and lynda.com, whatever you want to call them. I like some of their courses, but however, their web stuff is very visually emphasized. And so sometimes it can be very hard to do what they are trying to do, because they use something called CodePen. And I'm not sure if you guys have ever heard of that, but what it does is it is a code writing service, I guess, application platform thing, where you can actually write code in the browser and then it will render on the other side, kind of like a, previewer. But the only problem with that is that it's very, very inaccessible. And with a lot of the Lynda or LinkedIn courses, a lot of the instructors were using that to present their code samples. So I would say that it was very hard to follow for web development on LinkedIn or Lynda. So yeah, those are kind of some of the resources. I know it was a lot, but those are kind of some of the things that I've looked at over the years, and there's probably a lot more that I don't even know about. But yeah, so let's see what other questions we have. Am I going to school for coding? Okay, complicated question. So the short answer is sort of. So obviously COVID has uprooted our lives like crazy. And before COVID, I was going to Western Michigan University studying computer science. However, we had some issues with a lot of different aspects, and also some financial constraints on Western's part. So I right now am going to the local community college, and I'm getting like a web developer, it's like a work program basically where you work full time, but they want you to just take classes on the side. They don't want you to go full time because they want you to work, but obviously take the classes on the side as like a, I don't know, like a workforce program. I'm actually the youngest by far in my class by like 20 years. So that is very interesting. But no, honestly, I'm sort of going to school, but like if I have to be completely honest with you guys, a lot of the stuff I've learned is self-taught, and Michael can probably agree, is that a lot of the stuff, is self-taught, and that, you're going to learn some stuff in school, but a lot of it you have to learn anyways on the job yourself because it changes so frequently. And so that's kind of my, uncomplicated answer to that question. Okay, so David asks, why are my old settings coming back in VS Code? To that answer is, well, I would say to you then, David, what you want to do is you would want to probably, this is kind of going to be a pain, but what happened is that VS Code syncs your settings in a whole different directory than where, like the actual program files are. So VS Code syncs it in the .vs Code folder in the users folder. And so you pretty much have to like delete all of that content. And then if you're going to start completely from scratch, you'd also have to delete the program files content. So it's kind of a pain. If I need to do a video about that, or do a more in-depth tutorial, I will. But yeah, it's kind of a pain because it's just I had to do it a couple times actually when I was filming the video because I wanted to show the whole process from scratch. However, it's a pain when you have to reset everything each time. So yeah, I can do a video about that if somebody needs more help, but basically you just have to clear out all the folders and then you can re-download all the settings. And a note for my Mac users, the Windows settings do not work on the Mac. Do not download them. As Michael found out earlier this week, that can cause some problems. So do not do that. In fact, somebody just contacted me today and they did the same thing. So what I would tell you is, like, reset your VS Code completely and start over and don't download those settings. My friend Brian Guarte has a Mac repo, but I just a Mac settings just on GitHub. And that also is in my repo for the settings. And again, that will be in the description. But I just have to figure out because I think he has Vim in there. So just FYI, you might get Vim when you download it. So that could be a problem. But yeah, I would say that I'm going to try to work on Mac key bindings once my Mac's drives decide to resolve themselves. Because right now my Mac is kind of a, half working, non-functional thing. So once I can get my drives reformatted and all that kind of fun stuff, I'm going to try to work on Mac key maps and key bindings that do not include a bunch of Vim configuration files. So yeah, that is probably why you are having all those issues. Okay, so those are the main questions that I have gotten over the past month. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to open it up to the chat. And so I just kind of want, you guys to know, like what's, let me try that again. I want you guys to, ask questions about whatever, like my videos or, how I do things, or just kind of, tech coding discussion. It's going to kind of be a interactive, hangout, whatever. So yeah, it is now time for you guys to chat your questions, and then Michael will be reading them out and I will be answering them. So if you guys have questions, please put them in the chat. And yeah, we will now transition to Q&A. Okay, let me get in my Zoom meeting here.
And Taylor, I'm unmuted, just letting you know.
Okay, you're unmuted? Okay, good.
All right.
So, right, do we have any questions?
So Kevin wants to know, have you written any tutorials in our debugging breakpoints?
All right, so Kevin, good question. The answer to that is not yet. Those are actually, in fact, here. What I'm going to actually do is I use a. This is kind of going to get off topic for a sec, but it's really related. I use a program called Microsoft To Do. In fact, me and Michael figured out something really cool yesterday about it. But I actually have a whole list about my YouTube video ideas. So I'm actually going to open that up a second. And I'm going to write that in there just so that I can remember that that's something that people want. So you want like breakpoints in VS Code? Is that what I'm assuming that you kind of wanting? Because I will do that, assuming that they fix the issues that were present. I know when Brian tested it a while ago, it was kind of broken. Okay, yes, debugging techniques and breakpoints. Okay, yes. And then I'll probably be later on in the series just because I kind of want to build people up. But I'm definitely going to put that in the list. So yeah, that is kind of that. See here. Let's see. Yeah, that is kind of. Whoops. All right, so breakpoint and debugging.
So what language, Kevin also is asking, what language do you focus on?
So currently I do a lot of web and Python. Those are I know, like I said, Swift and stuff, but my main client base right now is web and Python. I do a lot of different web, Python stuff. So yeah, those are kind of the languages. Okay. And I did put that video in the list. Any other questions?
I haven't seen any yet, but I'm going to go ahead and put this one out there. Taylor, how often do you plan on doing these live streams?
I plan on doing them monthly. Kind of, and also I almost forgot. I got a big announcement to make, but we're gonna hold off on that for a sec. Yes, I plan on doing them at least once a month, so we can kind of have fun, update our members, just kind of, it's gonna be kind of an informal thing, but it's also gonna be ways to kind of ask questions about my content. And yeah, I got a big announcement to make, but I'm gonna kind of wait because I don't want people to leave after I make that announcement. So if we don't have any more questions, I'll make it now. But at the same time,
we do have one.
Yeah, we have one. Okay, what is the question?
So Kevin was asked to also if there is any way to develop user interfaces in VS Code.
Okay, that is an interesting question. So it depends on what interface you want to develop, like what language, because there are extensions that will help, assist you with developing some kind of user interfaces. But I've been able to do WX in VS Code, WX Python. But again, it all depends on what kind of user interfaces. So is there a particular type of user interface, Kevin? I'm gonna wait for the chat.
So he says, for instance, he's noticed cross-platform for iOS and Android.
Oh, yeah, I don't really think. Obviously for iOS, it's just better to use Xcode, as you can probably agree. Yeah, you want to use Xcode for iOS. For Android, I don't really know. I don't really know a lot about Android development, so that is not something that I am an expert on. But iOS, just use Xcode.
So he asked, how do we solve the cross-platform issue?
How do we solve the cross-platform issue? So he means the user interfaces?
Yes. Well, he hasn't said yet, so.
Okay, I'm gonna wait to see what he means by the cross.
So developing an app that runs on both. Use the UI.
Develop an app that runs on both iOS and Android?
Yes.
Okay. So how do we solve that problem? Well, There are a lot of different frameworks out there. There's React Native, there's Flutter, there's PhoneGap, there's Ionic. But a lot of them rely on web containers and web views, which are fine, but they can be kind of slow. In terms of accessibility, I do have a little bit of experience using React Native and Expo, it's called. So you download an app on your phone and you have your NPM terminal running, and you can actually see the Expo, the app in the Expo app, like, as it's like running. So what you do is you used to be able to scan a barcode and then it would like connect to your phone. But unfortunately, Apple had, got rid of that feature now. So what you have to do is like email yourself a link or I think like text, and then it like syncs up with your phone. Obviously, you have to be on the same Wi-Fi network with that app. But you could also do it through React Native itself, and then you have to use a Mac to kind of build it. And then, Flutter is made by Google. I don't really know anything about it. And then there's obviously Ionic and then the PhoneGap. But yeah, honestly, if you're going to do something, you want to write it cross-platform. I mean, I've seen accessible React Native apps. I really haven't seen anything that's accessible in any other thing. But honestly, if you can, just do it natively. But if you have to use something, I guess you'd use React Native. But again, I've had mixed success with all those. A lot of those frameworks are, it takes a while for them to like load, or they're a little bit slower than native. So, if you always want to do the faster performance, then I kind of say native. Okay. So hopefully that kind of helps with that question.
And this is Michael again. I just want to point out, Visual Studio 2019 has a lot more options for this than VS Code does. But you can still write the code in VS Code.
Right. I mean, you could also use Xamarin too. Yeah, right. You can't compile it. You could also do Xamarin, but again, it's I've heard from a lot of people that once you have a big enough app, it actually slows. It's very slow, and you have to have a Mac, and you have to like compare them up, and it's kind of it's a little bit of a process. Sorry, Michael, I didn't mean to cut you off. Any other questions? Okay.
None from Kevin.
All right, none from Kevin. Any other participants? Just want to make sure before I make a huge announcement. Okay. So let me just get ready here to open up something. Whoops. All right. Okay. All right. So if I don't hear any more questions, then I'm going to be making a really big announcement that you probably all wanted to hear. And yeah, so, all right. Are we all clear, Michael?
Yes, we're all clear. I'm going to mute as well.
All right, guys. So, I have created a membership website for the Taylor's Tech Talks YouTube channel. And what it is you can get different features. So for example, I have 3 tiers currently, $1 a month, $3, and $5. And they each get you different features on the website. So obviously I could use Patreon or any of the other member monetization platforms. But the only problem with that is that some of them are not accessible, either from the creator or the member, or both platform or standard. So I've decided to create my own WordPress site, and it's like PayPal subscriptions. And so the $1 tier, you just pay $1 a month. And what that is, it's kind of like what Renee Ritchie and a lot of those other creators do. You pay $1 and you get like access to the Discord. And then, you can kind of hang out in there. I'm going to be in there pretty frequently, answering questions and just kind of talking with the community. So the website actually is community.taylorart.com. And there's where you can subscribe. Jeff and Michael, thank you. You guys are the first 2 members. But yeah, you can subscribe and get access to whatever tier you want. And the cool part about it is that once you are a member, like I said, you'll have access to the Discord, and then we'll have, members only content. Like I said, not I'm trying to make a lot of money from it, just trying to, expand, and, I want engagement. And that's kind of, I want to kind of, because I really like this YouTube thing. I didn't think I would, but actually I really love it. Once I got the video editing down, I want to kind of help others, but it's kind of a way to give back, but also help others all at the same time. So the $1 tier, again, just includes the community Discord server. And then the $3 tier is called honorable mention. And that will get you, like I said, shout outs in videos. So I will say, like, thanks to, I'll kind of, pick a couple of members, or, like I said, put shout outs. And then obviously all those, like I said, members will be in like the description, say, thanks to these people for being an honorable mention, like a member. And you also get access to the community Discord, and that's $3 a month. And then we have $5, which is early bird. And early bird means that you get access to all of the videos that I produce early. So basically after they're filmed and edited, I will upload them first there before they're live on YouTube. So it'll be really cool, because once, you can actually kind of see my tutorials beforehand. And that way you can kind of, have the inside scoop, I guess, before they go live on YouTube. So I'm planning on filming like on weekends, and then that way you guys will have them, I'll post like the week's video, so Tuesday, Thursday, and then you'll have them there already. Once you log in, because what you'll do is you will do a PayPal subscription, and then what it will do is it will give you like a account. You'll register, and then it will give you access obviously the Discord link. I did include that in the welcome email from me. But you'll have access to the videos and the other stuff, like I said, once you log in. And that's on the $5 tier. So the $5, you get all of the above mentioned. And I'm working on some other tiers, but again, I wanted to make it cheap enough where, you guys would want to feel compelled to do it. And then where, I didn't want to make it too expensive where, too many people were discouraged from doing it. But yeah, so that's kind of the big announcement. Is there any questions from anybody about this in the chat? Any questions, Michael?
Not as of yet. I have also just put the link to your website in the chat as well.
Okay. Yep.
Okay, we have a question from Kevin. Give me just a second and I'll read it out. He says, first, can we have a different email and for the PayPal than the actual mailing list?
Yes, I believe so. Yes, I believe that you can have your own email address. Because what you'll do is you'll enter it in for PayPal and your thing, but you can, change it because what'll happen is you'll pay, and then you'll get a link in your email to actually register, and it'll be a unique link to you. So it generates a link, and then you could just put in your other email address if you don't want your PayPal one. And if you have any other questions, you could always, like I said, contact if there's any issues.
When I try to become a member, it logged me in into PayPal. Will I get a different link after I pay then?
Will I get a different link after I pay then? So what you'll do is you'll pay, and then it will say go back to merchant, and then you should check your email, and then you'll get a link to actually complete your account. So if you're trying to sign up right now, let me see. Like I said, I'm still, it's called the Simple Membership plugin. That's what I'm using for WordPress. And yeah, so once you pay, it'll say return to merchant, and then you might want to also check your spam folder, because sometimes the emails will come to the spam folder. So you'll get an email once you're done paying. Yes. Does that kind of make sense? Maybe.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions?
He says, we will try.
Okay. That's, like I said, if there's any other problems, I mean, I'm easily get a hold of, and then, yeah, once you get in the Discord server, like I said, then that's obviously going to be one of the first places that I post a lot of things. So, that's kind of, like I said, the members only, exclusive, like I said, stuff. So you'll have your, like I said, the voice community. I am going to allow voice because I want people to, like I said, do community. And it's also going to be a place where we can talk, I know a lot of us are still locked down from COVID. I mean, yeah, we can go out a little bit right now. Michigan just opened its restaurants like on Monday. Yeah, I know, right? So, we're still waiting for the vaccine. So we're still kind of, locked down a little bit, obviously. And right now we're getting a huge snowstorm. So, it's kind of like, what else are we going to do? So it's kind of one of those things, where we can kind of talk, hang out, answer questions and just learn from each other. I want to build a community here. So that's kind of the goal with all these different things. So is any other questions? And like I said, if there's any problems, just email me and I will, because I'm an admin on there. So I get notified whenever somebody pays or whenever they sign up. So yeah, if there's any problems, just email me. And Michael, do you want to put my email in the chat?
I'll put it in the chat. Kevin says, none for me. Thank you so much.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm very, like I said, this will be on YouTube too, guys. So if you want to listen to it again or you want to share it with your friends, this will be on YouTube. Also, all the links that I talked about will be on YouTube. So that'll be great because then you guys can see all the resources that I linked to. So once it's on YouTube, I will email or post a tweet, or I will, I honestly probably will want to get a mailing list of some sort. I'm going to have to brainstorm about that one. But yeah, regardless, I will get the word out somehow. So if there's no more questions, that's kind of it for me. This is kind of our first live stream. I mean, our first Zoom stream. I'm hoping that next month I can go live without getting interrupted by YouTube bots. But yeah, it was kind of weird getting, I think what happened is that the AI kind of was like, oh, well, you're too young and, we're going to flag you. So I think that's what happened. So hopefully next month I can get, I can be good to stream without getting flagged for being too young to being able to stream. So yeah, for our first time, it went pretty well, but I'm hoping that we can be on YouTube just because they'll be, that way if we ever have more than 100 participants, it won't boot people out because it wasn't planning on doing a webinar. So yeah, all right, no more questions, then I think this meeting is over, and I really look forward to what?
Kevin asked, why did they kick you out? Do you need to be 21 to set up another channel for that?
I'm actually 21, Kevin. So what happened is I don't need to do another channel, but they just blocked me from live streaming. So they thought that what I was talking about violated the child safety rules of some sort. So yeah, no, I don't really need another channel. It's just that YouTube, they didn't put a strike against me because they're like, oh, you probably didn't know. Well, I think that the AI, it sounded like, because when I appealed it, they actually did reverse it, but they still won't let me stream for some reason. So I just got to contact support. But again, if there's another way that we could do this, I'm more than willing to do other options if YouTube is going to be kind of a pain in my, in my neck. There's other options if we need to, but I mean, Zoom is fine, but it's kind of a pain with the waiting room and Zoom bombers. But, we'll figure it out. Maybe we'll do like a Discord, although we'd have to figure out like non-members. I don't know. It's kind of one of those things we'll have to explore.
All right. There's another message from Kevin.
Okay.
He says, you can do a Zoom webinar, but it requires a more expensive account.
Right. Yeah, and I can do a Zoom webinar, but yeah, I'd have to pay a lot more. So right now, this is my Zoom business account. But I wasn't planning on investing in Zoom webinars. I really hope I wouldn't have to, but we'll just kind of see what happens. All right. Is that all the questions, Michael?
That is it so far.
All right, guys. Well, if that's it, this first live Zoom session, whatever we want to call. Oh, wait, what?
Hang on just a second.
Okay.
If it is less than 250 members, we can set up a 3CX account for you, according to Kevin.
What account?
3CX. It's. Do you want to explain, Kevin?
Yeah, I'll let him unmute.
That can. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hang on just a second.
Yeah, give him unmuting privileges.
Hang on just a second. All right, Kevin, you are able to speak. If you want to explain the 3CX.
Maybe. Are we hearing anything? Michael, can you hear him?
No, he's still muted.
Oh, wait.
But, oops, I think I did the wrong person. Hang on.
Oh.
Kevin, you are unmuted. We can't hear you though.
Audio hijack dialog. Using audio device.
Oh, hello,
Yes, we can hear you now.
hijack. Okay.
We can hear you now.
Yep.
Image. Missing audio device. Image. Missing audio device.
We can hear your computer.
Right. And the audio hijack, but.
I'm
not sure we can hear him.
Nope, we cannot. But my suggestion is we could go into that in more detail offline.
Yep, let's do that offline. Yeah. So if there's any, we can. We'll do that offline. But yeah, if there's any or no more suggestions, then we will call this a. Let's see. Okay. We will end this February live stream. All right. I think that's it. Okay, let me stop recording. All right, I stopped the recording.
I'm working on it as well over here.